And we're recording. Isn't that spiffy? Well, I hope you're all having an awesome 30-day challenge. Can I say, right up front, that this has to be my favourite 30-day challenge ever. Now, this isn't like those rock groups who roll into town and, they say, we love you, Melbourne. Yeah, you're the best. And then they go into Adelaide. Yeah, we love you, Adelaide. Yeah, you're the best. And we know that's a lie because nobody can truly love Adelaide. But no, seriously, this is the best challenge. I've actually just spent the morning, I was downstairs on my Apple TV, and I've done some video for you. I'm going to show you this a bit later on. And I was watching all of day two's content on my Apple TV. And I'm sitting there going, this is darn good. This is really, really good. No, scratch that. This is awesome. Now, I know this may appear slightly self-congratulatory, but please don't let that put you off, because it's not. It's just, I'm just so thrilled because as this year, unlike other years, we've got a whole bunch of awesome guest presenters, is that I don't get to see some of the content until you guys see it, because it's the love guru, Guru Rob Somerville, who really is coordinated and planned and challenged here. I'm just here for my obvious on-screen sex appeal and presence, whereas it's really Guru Bob, who I think was described as having the brains the size of a large, I forget what the exact term was, but whatever it was appropriate. And so I was actually very interested to see how day two, because day two, make no mistake, there's a lot coming at you in day two, and that's why we were so pleased to do today's broadcast, because what we're going to do is we're going to answer all of your questions. I've got a few notes, a couple of things that I want to point out, but really the majority of this broadcast is about answering your questions. And that's what we want to do, which is just brilliant. There's a huge number of you on. We're smashing all sorts of records here in 30-day challenge land, which is just brilliant. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much we're liking things. It's about getting you all sorted out so that you've got a business to start. So let me refer to my trusty iPhone here, because I've got some notes that I wanted to remember to remind you about. Okay, first thing I want to talk about briefly is nothing exists without... Actually, just before we do that, I'm rusty. I've got to get warmed up with these shows. Let's just explain very briefly how this show is going to go. I'm going to talk to you about a few things that I believe are important and stuff that I've picked up from Twitter and on the forums and so on. And we do that. Then we'll have a short break, and we'll come back in the question and answer section. Now, what's happening is the team of super moderators led by Caro will be watching for questions. They will be feeding those through to me on iChat as I remember to connect to iChat. Oh yes, professionals here, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you. And they'll feed me through these questions. So if you ask a question, it will be answered. That's our guarantee to you on these live shows. And after the break, I hope to have Guru Bob at the very least. See, I'm being buzzed by a whole bunch of people here. Let me just, 1 second, folks. Just talk amongst yourselves briefly. Here we are. Just want to do that. I want to do that. Done and done. And Nez, if you want to re-invite me, I will be there for you, buddy. But they'll be grabbing the questions. We'll answer all of them. And it'll be fun. And then what happens in the after, and then there's usually another break. That's officially everything is over for the day, but then there's often a bit of a after party, as was mentioned in the magnificent video created by the Evil Geek Girls at the top of the program. That was Lisa Hartwell on voice. There was a lot of Karen Kramer there, and I'm very pleased to see that David Wilkinson was involved, because he does, for me, embody everything about being an evil geek girl. So, thank you guys. It was an awesome video, as I'm sure you'll agree. All right, now, where were we? The first thing that I wanted to look at, it was nothing exists without a phrase. You heard me say that today, heard it a few times today, and I just really wanted to emphasize this concept for you today. Because it can often be a big jump from market to phrase. Here we are. They're just so. And I see John Dean is up and online from the crack crew in Manchester. Weren't Dan's videos on day one extraordinary? I love that. I love the mood lighting up there in Manchester too, because that's how it works up in Manchester. John Dean will verify this for you, that the Manchester offices of 30-Day Challenge are often kept dark with a slight green lighting effect. That's just how they roll in Manchester. Let's face it, outside it's not that sunny, so why not keep it dark so their eyes don't have to readjust so much when they step out? Well, I was going to say sunshine, but that doesn't really happen. Nothing exists without a phrase, though. Don't worry, I will make the point. Nothing exists without a phrase. And the biggest thing today, I just in rewatching the videos back myself over the past 40 minutes or so, was there's this jump. We've asked you on day one to look for 7 areas of interest. And I hope you listened to my audio boo on... how good is audio boo, by the way? Oh, jeez, it's good. But I hope you listened to my audio boo, because in it, I didn't plan on doing this, but I thought, why not? In 30 seconds, I tore off, as we like to say down here, my 7 areas of interest in about 30 seconds. And I did that by just looking at what Hannah, had got for her birthday. So we just wanted you to come up with those area of interest. And the whole theme of day one, and the most important point, is not to judge. And then Dan gave you a whole incredible amount of incredible content on where to find great ideas, talking about Google, the Wonder Wheel. We're going to award some prizes before we finish the broadcast for some great entries in the 30-Day Challenge blog contest. So thank you very much for that. But at the end of day one, you had your 7 areas of interest as we described them. Now, in day 2, Rob Somerville took you through what is a market to try give you some definition around what we're trying to do. So we're coming from an area of interest and we need to work out what a market is. And there are certain characteristics of a market that are very important to us because, let's face it, we're here to make some money as a general rule. So we need to make sure, not all markets do that, and not all markets are appropriate for what we want to do. So today was about going down from that area of interest, which we would also call a market, and then going from that market to work out what niche in the United States, what the niche is in that particular market. And then we talked about, because this is where we want to end up, micro niches. And if you recall the example today, very dear, very, very extremely, dear in both meanings of the word, dear to my heart, Rob talked about Leica cameras. And, Leica as a company has a number of huge divisions, and they're very big in geoimaging and binoculars and all sorts of other things. But as Rob pointed out, a niche for Leica is indeed cameras. But the micro niche is Leica digital cameras, because that's a subset of those, because there was like this gorgeous piece of camera. Hang on, I'll show you that. That's a film camera. Okay, that's a good old Leica M7. But there's also now I'm showing off. Oh, God. There's a Leica M8. That's their digital camera. Check that lens there for photographers. You know what that is. But the point is that there are digital cameras. That's a micro. There are two completely... The person who shoots with this can be very different to the person who shoots with that. Very different indeed. So that is what we start to mean by micro niches, right? And so now, actually, if I was to take in the Leica particular circumstance, that particular model camera would be an even better micro niche. So there's Leica digital cameras, and then you could actually go down to the Leica M8, which is a very specific digital camera. So we had to make this transition okay, down as we step down from our area of interest to our market, to our niche, to our micro niches, because the micro niches is where our money is, and it's where we want to start with a marketplace, okay? Now, the analogy I like to use here is that we can again, we're not giving you some substandard or tiny little marketplace thing. We're not giving you a cute little hobby type process. This is the process that we're teaching you in the 30-day challenge is exactly the same process we would use to target a mega market like, I don't know, weight loss, for example. That's a very, very huge market, tough market, hugely competitive. But the strategies and tactics that we're teaching you over the next 30 days are exactly the same. But we want you to get results early. And it's, it's the classic, Indian proverb of, how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time. And if you want to get into a big market, the way to get into a big market is to tackle, own, and dominate a little tiny part of the market, and then you expand out and you take on a next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And as you get skills, experience, traffic, and all these sorts of things, all of these things build up to like a massive snowball. So I hope you guys are getting that, that this is no half, I can't think of the phrase. We're not pulling punches here. Okay? This is absolutely top notch. So we've gone from our areas of interest, market, niche, micro niche. And I've explained to you why we want to tackle micro niches. It's not because it's a dinky process. It's because it's a smart process and we're using our head. Now, the big jump from that micro niche and then setting up a project in Market Samurai and using Market Samurai to find our keywords, aka the phrase that pays. Now, this can be a little bit of a jump, so I wanted to spend just a minute talking about this. What are we doing? So when you set up, if you watch that Market Samurai video, when you set up in Market Samurai, your market, your project that you're setting up, in this case would be, for example, Leica digital cameras, to continue Rob Somerville's analogy. And then we would use that as our keyword to help us find, when somebody's thinking about Leica digital cameras, what are the types of things they're typing into the internet? Because this is, as Rob explained with the phrase that pays, we need to figure out what people are typing, because they don't think necessarily like a digital camera. In fact, that's a classic example, because what you would quickly see is that a lot of people, rather than type like a digital camera, will type the specific model. And that would be the phrase that pays, because they're searching for that particular model. Okay, so what Market Samurai does, and what you were shown how to do today, is come up with a whole bunch of those phrases that pays. And remember, a phrase that pays has two very important characteristics that we like. The first thing is that there's traffic. If there's only a very small number of people typing that phrase in every day, and you're going to do a whole lot of work to capture that very tiny traffic, it's not worth your time or energy or effort. You want to make sure you're spending your time, energy, and effort on a phrase that pays, that works, that has traffic. Now, this is a huge deal. Like, you're thinking, oh yeah, that makes sense, Ed. That's standard. We didn't know this information 2 years ago. We didn't know how to do this, right? It makes sense now, but they were guesstimates. All there was some great tools, but at the end of the day, they were guesstimates as to what we were looking for. So, Market Samurai just does such an awesome job of collating all of this in one place. So the second criteria, remember I mentioned too, was obviously the competition. And I think for the keyword Leica, I remember Rob saying in his video that there was over 13 million pages on the internet that Google had found with the word Leica on it. Not surprising. Now, the reason we're looking for competition is it doesn't necessarily mean, and we've got to be careful of this, because as soon as I say the word competition, I suspect for the majority of you out there, the words competition means I'm in competition for somebody's dollar. In other words, there are 3 real estate agents here on Puckle Street, and they're all competing to try get the listing for your house. That's how you're thinking about competition. The way we're using the phrase competition and the way Brent was explaining it was that we're looking at web page competition. And this makes sense when I explain it like this. It makes sense, doesn't it, that if there are 13 million pages and there are just 10 that we're really interested in that are shown on the front page of Google, the percentage of 10 into 13 million is, goodness knows, maybe there's a math geek who can come up with the exact percentage on the chat room, but it's tiny, teeny tiny, I believe is the mathematical explanation. Whereas if there's only 15,000 competitive pages, that percentage of the 10 is relatively much larger, right? We've got a much better chance just using raw numbers, let alone all the other stuff that we can do. So this is the whole point of day 2, is coming down and then identifying the phrase that pays. And I really just wanted to spend a minute, and again, we'll answer questions so we can clarify this for everybody, but to be able to spend a minute just going through and trying to give you that link, if you will, from that area of interest from day 1, bringing it down through to having a bunch of phrases that payses. That was extraordinarily bad English. But you've got to expect that from me by now. In fact, it should be heartening to know that somebody with this complete lack of grammatical skill can still, make their way in the world. Sure, I need assistance eating, but at least I can make my way in the world. So, there you have it. That was the point I wanted to make, and hopefully I made it. Now, referring to the iPhone again. Done that. Market Samurai. This is something that I wanted to talk about, the tool. And the first thing I want to say about Market Samurai is I want to explain the relationship between Noble Samurai, the company that makes Market Samurai, and 30DC Inc., which is our company. Sadly, there is no relationship whatsoever there. I wish I had shares in Market Samurai. In fact, Brent, if you're listening, let's talk. I wish I had some shares in Market Samurai. I don't. It is an independent company. We work extremely closely together. A lot of the intellectual property into the whole concept of Market Samurai was developed by our head and director of research here at 30DC Inc., Rob Somerville. But that's as far as it goes. And we have a very, very long-standing and successful joint venture. And here's the deal in terms of full disclosure. And by the way, there'll be a disclosure video which is separate because I think it's important so that you guys know exactly who does what, where, and who greases who, so to speak, in the most positive sense of the word. The arrangement that we have with Market Samurai is very, very simple. Any product that we promote inside of the 30-day challenge, a condition of doing that is that the vendor makes it completely available for free with no strings or catches. The idea behind that is simple, is that nothing should let you get in the way of you completing your 30-day challenge. So, that would be a horrible thing to do. Not unusual, sadly, but a horrible thing would be to give you a 14-day trial and you couldn't complete the 30-day challenge because you had to pay something. That would suck. And that's certainly not what we will do here with any of the vendors that we have a direct relationship with the 30-day challenge. So there's that. Now, after the challenge, should you choose to buy Market Samurai, then yes, we will get a piece of that action, as they say in the classics. And I want to explain something to you. Putting all of this on here is, I think the technical word, bloody expensive. We use S3 for hosting, and you might notice this year we have full high definition videos, standard definition videos, iPhone videos. We download on average, our average is 6 terabytes of data a day. When we're going, we are one of the largest download sites on the internet, full stop, period. And let me tell you, that costs an arm and a leg. So I can assure you that any money that we make out of the 30-day challenge, about you actually deciding to say buy a Market Samurai, goes to covering the costs of putting this thing on each year. It's a far different proposition when there were 927 of you. You know, when there are tens of thousands of you all doing it, it's very expensive. And so that's what we do. We do not make a killing out of running the 30-day challenge. Quite the opposite. It costs us money. But it's part of a philosophy, which is for 1 month of the year, we give back. For the other 11 months of the year, trust me, I will try to get every single dollar out of your pockets. Yes, give it to me. Yes, because there are embedded commands all through these videos. I'm joking. There's not. So that was the first thing I wanted to say about Market Samurai. I hope we're clear on that, because I don't want anything to be sneaky. I don't want anything to be anything. And any time, by the way, during the 30-day challenge where there is any sort of potential for disclosure, I will be doing it because there's nothing. We have nothing to hide, and we have, I think, boy, if you can't see the value in the past 2 days alone, forget pre-season. But if you can't see the value and the extraordinary production values and everything that we've done and just the raw quality of content over the last 2 days, then I can't help you. So I think that's fair enough. All right. Let's move on to Market Samurai itself as a tool. I've got to tell you, I use Market Samurai every single day. Every single day. And use it for all sorts of different things. But like any software tool, I think like Word or Excel or, one of those programs, typically people only use a tiny, tiny proportion of it. Now, you look at it and you see all those buttons and you see all these options and you see all these tabs. I would beg of you, if you're new and this is all new to you, just follow along and just do what we do during the lessons. Okay, take it really slowly. As I said in my Day 2 Audio Boo update earlier on today, the thing with Market Samurai is to take it nice and slowly. We produce videos and we have all this interactivity for a reason. You know what? On the videos, there's a pause button and there's a rewind button and there's a go back to start button. I encourage you to use those with gay abandon, because often it's hard to pick something up on the first time. That's why we've got videos. That's why it's not television. It's interactive. And I encourage you to use those. There's no law that says you can't pause the video and go off and do what you should do. In fact, that's best practice as far as I'm concerned. Actually, best practice is to watch the video through, just that chunk, then have it go through again, particularly the ones where we're actually showing you something. Then you pause and then you go and do on your computer whatever we're asking you to do. Press play again, go do the next bit and do it that way. That's the ultimate. But, obviously there are time challenges and all those sorts of things. But please make massive use of the pause button and everything else, because believe it or not, today and tomorrow are your trickiest days. And they're so much better and easier than last year, or indeed any year before that. And the techniques and the methodologies that you're using here are priceless. They're just as important, I don't care whether you're paying $10,000 for a course or nothing, as is the case here at the 30-day challenge. The techniques, the strategies, the theory, if you get this theory, whether it's for a small business, whether you're a musician, whatever you happen to be, then you are going to be so much better off. Okay, so it's so worth you investing your time and intellectual energy over the next 2 days is going to give you such a huge payoff. Really is. So make sure you do that. Okay, so take it slow with Market Samurai. Now, let's have a look. We've done that. Very good. We're cracking along here. Excellent. Now, one thing I wanted to do was talk about the winners of the challenge. And let me just... What I did, and we're going to do these throughout the 30-day challenge because a bit of spice. Oh, I should say, we're having a special Facebook contest as well. I'll just bear with me for a second here. In fact, let's do that. Let's do this, just so you're not watching me typing, because it's pretty boring and slow. And do this. And do this one. There we are. All those photos taken on my trusty M7. I should say one thing while I am tooling along here is that because of everything that I have to do in driving this show, I really don't see anything in the chat in this first section of the show, and that's why I've got the magnificent moderating team looking at that, and I get to see it a little bit more in the question and answers part of the show. But if we scoot across to the Facebook, and I think Jeff LaRosa was telling me this morning that we've got over 4,500 people using the Facebook application, which is just extraordinary for such a new thing. But I wanted to show you, look, there's a cool little contest. See this little contest tab? We've got I keep pressing that one. We've got a great little contest, and you can go into the Facebook application to have a look at that. And again, you can see how to get to that. I usually email out to you guys. But there's a cool little contest there. So go and have a look at that, and you get the chance to win a Skype conversation with myself and talk about your 30-day challenge project. And so, yeah, have checked that out. I think that would be rather spiffy. And we're back. I'm getting better. I'm getting warmer at this. I'm getting better. The tools are so much better this year. Okay, so here's what's going to happen now, folks. We're going to have a break. After the break, I will announce the winners because this page that I have up is not there. I should also say that a big thank you. Where and I put this down here. A really big thank you to Dominic Goucher. Who's Dominic Goucher, I hear you ask? Great question. Dominic's doing the transcriptions for us this year, and he, like yourselves, is a fellow 30-day challenge veteran. And indeed, his interesting link is a lot of the screen videos, those incredible screen videos that you're seeing, which are just so much better probably than anything you've seen anywhere else, are done using the magnificent tool called ScreenFlow. And Dominic is a fantastic ScreenFlow ninja, and he's actually worked very closely with the team at ScreenFlow, who we love long time. We love those guys, and works with them. He's a Brit who's living in Spain, and we thank you very much. And you'll see the transcripts flow out. We deliberately put the transcripts up a lot later than the videos, audios, etc. And we do that for a reason, because if we just put the transcripts up, people would be inclined to just look at the transcripts. And the difference between reading how to use Market Samurai, for example, and actually watching somebody to do Market Samurai, it is immeasurably different. So we really do want people to watch the videos and audios. It's a very important part. But we also acknowledge that people love transcripts. They love transcripts for review and all those sorts of things. So we're going to provide them, and Dom is going to do that this year for us, which is super duper brilliant. So thank you very much, Dom, for being a part of that. All right. Now, our next show will be, get this right, it'll be Thursday night, US Eastern Time. Okay, so Thursday night, US Eastern Time will be our next show. And again, we'll be just answering questions from day 3, 4, and 5. And we'll also, in fact, I may even slip in another show depending on how people are going. We'll see how you're traveling. But we'll do that, and I'll just click that there. So we'll do, but we'll definitely have one on the Thursday evening. Watch the blog. Make sure you're following on Twitter and getting all that information, because if there's something urgent that I need to get out to you, Twitter is where you're first going to see it. And indeed, next time, we're running out of time for today's show, but next time I'm going to show you the all about using the hashtag 30DC and what that's all about, because that's a very, very cool thing as well. All right, folks, we're going to have a 5-minute break. We're going to come back with questions and answers. So if you want to pop up questions, now's your chance. Put them in the chat window and we'll grab them, and we'll come back and review them after the break. And we'll talk about all that stuff. So we will see you very soon. Have fun. Keep it up. Well done that you've got this far. We've only got a few days to go. Only a few. Really is very simple. All right, folks. We'll speak to you soon.
2K9 TDC, everybody online, yeah, you and
In
me.
5 minutes to be
Can you
exact.
feel the love? Can you feel it online? August rolls around, baby, time to shine. Big Bad Ed, yeah, he the man. The I Am King with a trusted plan. You got Rain Man 2 with his G and bling bling. And a gorgeous Carol, always doing a thing.